Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining me for Ask a Recruiter Anything. My name is Provincial Constable Good. I'm a recruiter in the Northeast region of the OPP. I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about community service and volunteering. But before we start, I just want to acknowledge that today is Pink Shirt Day, and 1 in 5 kids are affected by bullying, according to pinkshirtday.ca. So the effects are real and long-term. They have a long-term impact and can be detrimental to a child's well-being. The OPP is committed to fostering a safe environment by promoting kindness, respect, and inclusion. So again, if you see people wearing pink shirts today, that is why. So again, we'll get started today talking a little bit about community service and volunteering. Community service is one of the 10 areas of assessment that we do assess during the hiring process. So when you apply to the OPP, we do ask that you fill out any community service that you have been involved in. A lot of people that I speak to, they do talk about getting involved in big events, large things like coaching a hockey team or a baseball team. Community service is not just about these large scale events and volunteering opportunities. They can be small as well. So again, the topic of community service is very broad, and I'm going to just kind of touch base on how you can build your resume and what you should be putting on your application. So community service is a great way to build trust in your community and develop communication skills, problem-solving skills, and again, show that you are committed to public service and getting involved in your community. So an example of this is if you go to an old age home and you say that you want to volunteer, you go and speak to people during coffee hour. So you're building those communication skills with people that you may have never met before. And those are very important skills as a police officer. So these are things that we are looking at when you apply to us. So not only communication skills can you build, but I touched a little bit about trust. So going into a school, volunteering with one of the sports teams, or as a lunchtime supervisor when the children are having lunch, things like that, where you are not being paid to do these jobs, that is volunteering. Another example is if you're involved at a school as a parent council representative. That is volunteering, being part of this committee, helping out in your community and just getting involved in your community. So when you apply to us, again, if you're involved in any boards, such as recreation boards for your community, parent council at your children's school, or if you're in college or university, say you're involved in an environmental group where you get together and talk about issues going on in the country, those are things that you could write down as volunteer opportunities. What we like to see is how many hours a week you're volunteering your time, and overall how many hours total that you've committed to these certain things and opportunities that you've done. An opportunity with the OPP that kind of gets your foot in the door, gives you great experience, is getting involved with our OPP auxiliary unit. So this is a unit that you apply to get involved in, and it gives you lots of training. It gives you an opportunity to ride along with active members, go to community events, wear uniforms like the one I wear that says auxiliary instead of police. So you are seen as a leader in your community, and it really is a stepping stone to becoming a police officer and provides you lots of opportunities to get involved in community events that are going on. So I see there's a question right now. It says, does volunteering in my own neighborhood count, like shoveling neighbors' driveways? Absolutely, it does. So, like I said, it doesn't have to be something formal. It doesn't have to be something that you've signed up to do. It could be as easy as you have a neighbor that is elderly, or a single parent lives next door with young kids and they can't go outside and shovel their driveway, or cut their lawn. So you're going to go cut your lawn, and why not help them and cut their lawn? So anything that you are not getting compensated to do. So whether that's shoveling a driveway, cutting your neighbor's lawn, helping out your grandparents, going to their house and maybe cutting their lawn. I've had people tell me about that, how they go over and chat with their grandparents, and then assist them in those kinds of ways. So that is community service as well. And just talking to people when you go there, that also helps form those communication skills, which are very important when you become a police officer. Other opportunities, other places that I've seen people volunteering and talk about are at shelters, soup kitchens, youth mentorship programs, and programs like victim services. These are great programs to get involved in because they demonstrate your commitment to service and serving your community. Also, getting involved in these different services can open up your eyes to different outreach programs that may be in your community that you could down the road, if you do become a police officer, give information to people that you are dealing with about. So there's a question about, can I apply to the auxiliary program anytime, or does there need to be a posting? The auxiliary program, we are always hiring. We are always interviewing people for that program. So apply. It's online, opp.ca/careers. We do have plenty of opportunities, plenty of intakes throughout the year for the auxiliary program, and we love to have people helping us out on the road. Volunteers to help at events like parades, road closures, even just to have a partner working a night shift with us, somebody that wants to come and ride around and kind of learn about being a police officer. It's nice to have somebody to ride around with during a long night shift. So some other things I want to talk about is there are plenty of mental health organizations, homeless shelters that you can get involved in your community. So these don't have to be large organizations. It could be something small in your community that you know about. But getting involved in these kinds of organizations can really give you invaluable information that can help you down the road in dealing with people with mental health addictions. These are calls for service that police officers regularly attend. So having a background, feeling comfortable speaking to people with mental health issues or addictions, or a homeless person, if you've never spoken to one before, it's great to get experience speaking to all different kinds of people from all over in different walks of life, different religions. That's another thing too. So let's talk a little bit about different opportunities within different religions. So there may be a church that you're involved in. They might have events going on at the church. There may be lunches or special events going on. You can help out at those and use those as community service hours. So anything really works. We are just looking to see that you are a good person, you are involved in your community, and that you have been consistently doing that throughout your life. It's not just something that you've just started when you started to apply to the OPP. The one thing that I got really involved in before I applied to be an officer, and that's just because it was something that I enjoy. I know a lot of you, just a little history on me. I did go to school for sport and physical education. I was going to be a teacher. That's what I was hoping to be. So I do have a passion in sports, teaching, playing sports, coaching. So for me, I really enjoy doing those things. So I reached out to Special Olympics Ontario, and I found a team in the area that I was living, and I was able to help out coaching a softball team with Special Olympics, which was a great opportunity to deal with all different people. So whether it was parents or the actual athletes themselves, it was an amazing experience. Another thing is coaching sports teams. Growing up, I really enjoyed playing soccer. So as a child, I was lucky enough to be able to sign up for Timbits soccer. My parents put me into that. And if it wasn't for community coaches, those programs would not be going on. So I know that in a lot of small communities, they have a hard time finding coaches. So if there's a specific sport that you really enjoy, why not get involved in it? Why not enjoy your time in coaching youth or even adults in those sports if it's something that you love? Because if you're doing something you love, it's not work. It's really not volunteering. It's having fun and building relationships within your community. So see a few more questions here. What factors should I consider before I put it on my application? You know what? Anything that you have, put it on your application when it comes to community service. If you do make it to the interview phase, the local focused interview, we will talk to you about the community service, learn a little bit more about it. Again, if you've worked, say, you've worked at a running event in the background, getting race kits ready, and you worked maybe 5 hours getting all these race kits ready before the race, and that's the only thing that you've done, that's fine. That's 5 hours total that you've worked participating, volunteering your time without getting paid, doing these things. So that's something that we want to know. Put everything down. It doesn't hurt. That's totally fine. Another example could be, I know we kind of touched base on something that's not formal. Another thing could be if you are at the grocery store. I know Ontario has gotten a lot of snow this year, and you see somebody struggling pushing their shopping cart through the parking lot because there's so much snow on the ground, and it's a great opportunity to go up and offer your assistance and see if they need some help. If they do, maybe you can push that shopping cart for them and unload their bags into their car if they want the help. Of course, you want to ask them ahead of time, but that's a great opportunity to assist members in your community. That is volunteering. That is being an active member in your community. So again, the main thing with volunteering and community service is that we want to know that you're positively involved in your community and that you are doing things to help other people out, not just for pay. So I'm just going to go through some questions here. So we have a question here. What advice do you have for a person who passed the interview but failed psych? So after your local focus interview, you move into the background stage. That's when a background investigator will be assigned your file, and you will also be doing the psychological testing. So we don't let you know where you're unsuccessful in the recruitment process. So knowing that you failed psych, that's not for sure what it would be. You can kind of pinpoint the area where you were unsuccessful, so whether it was background or psych. But in the end, if you believe it is psych that you have failed, don't give up. You do have to wait 1 year before you redo it or before you reapply to the OPP. Don't stress out about it. My suggestions that I give to people before they do their psychological testing is get a good sleep the night before. Make sure that you answer the questions exactly with the answer that comes to your head first. Don't overthink the question that they're giving you. But in the end, you've got to wait 1 year, but keep trying. So I've got a few people here asking about how long until they hear back after submitting their application. So when you submit your application, we have people in Aurelia that are looking through your application, making sure that all the mandatory documents are on your application. At that point, they will give you a file number. You will receive that, and you will be told that you have to send a video of you completing the shuttle run. So I can't give an exact time frame, but it could take a few weeks before you hear back after submitting your application. You may get some emails back asking you for certain documentation if it is missing. So just make sure that when you receive those emails that you are submitting whatever is outstanding as soon as possible so that your application can move forward. There's another question. Can I apply to the OPP if I live in another province? Absolutely, you can apply to the OPP if you live in another province, another territory, country. That is fine, as long as you meet our minimum standards. Again, they're all listed at opp.ca/careers under regular recruit. We have plenty of people that apply from out of province. We take that into consideration if you make it into the local focus interview stage with time. So just know that there's no problem. Our hiring process is online start to finish. It's not like you need to go to come to Ontario to specific places like Aurelia to complete your interview or anything like that. Everything's done online now. Next question. What is the biggest thing that most candidates overlook when trying to be competitive? That's a good question. You know what? When trying to be competitive, again, it's no secret. We've got the 10 areas of assessment that we do look at when you are applying. So do the self-assessment, see where you're at. Make sure that you feel that you are at your competitive best, meaning that you either meet or above in every area of the 10 areas of assessment. Again, if you are unsuccessful at any part of the recruitment hiring process, you have to wait 1 year to reapply. So if you don't think you're quite there yet, say you only have a few hours of community service, or you just started community service, or you just got your G license, wait a little bit of time. It's better that you build your application up than you rush it. We would rather see people wait an extra few months, complete that extra course, graduate from college and university, than rush and apply right away if they're not at their competitive best, because then you have to wait that year before you reapply. So is there an age limit to apply? There's no limit, but there's a minimum. So minimum 18 years old. So you can be 50, 60, doesn't matter. As long as you're willing to work frontline, we will look at your application. Again, we want people that want to work. We want people that want to work frontline. So as long as you can meet those minimum requirements, as we get older in age, sometimes the shuttle run and the prep test would be a challenge. So just make sure that you're able to meet those minimum standards, and no problem at all. Is there a minimum amount of volunteering required? No, there is not. I cannot give a number for how many hours you should be putting in. Again, like I said, we will look at your application and we want to see that you are involved in your community positively. We want to see that you have been doing things. It's not just a recent thing that you've started doing, that you've been actively involved in your community or in another community over your whole life. So I know that sometimes we get people applying right out of college or university. Totally fine. I came right out of university and applied. but I was involved in a lot of things when I was in university, and I made sure that I kept track of those. So different committees that I was involved in, different organizations, different events that were going on throughout the campus when I was in university, as well as when you're in high school for your OSSD, we know that minimum is 40 hours of community service. Those hours are a minimum, and you need those to graduate. So those are not the hours that we're looking for. In order to get to graduate high school, you need those 40 hours. So we want to see what you've done on top of those 40 hours, because we know that you need those to graduate high school. So what have you done on top of that? Okay. Is it possible to be a police officer without a driver's license? No. So to apply to be a constable, a regular recruit with the Ontario Provincial Police, you do need a minimum, or you do need your G license, sorry. If you do have a driver's license from another province, as long as it's comparable to the G license, that's fine. Obviously, when you move to Ontario and start working as a police officer, you're going to need to get an Ontario driver's license, but we do require minimum G class license to be a regular recruit, provincial constable with the Ontario Provincial Police. If you are applying for auxiliary program, we also require a G class license. If you are applying to be a cadet, that is the only different field where you can have your G2 license. So that's a minimum for becoming a cadet, is you do need your G2 license. So as a police officer, we are regularly driving on a regular basis, so we do need our driver's license. Okay, the next question is, how can I best include all my community service information despite the application only asking for 3 years? Absolutely. So you know what? Add everything you have. I know that it might ask for the past 3 years. If you have anything before that, add it in. We want to know. We want to know that you're consistently involved in your community. The more you have down there, the more we have to talk about during an interview, and the more we know that you are involved. Somebody's talking about it being their last year of university, and should they wait to graduate to apply? So if you're in your last year of university, I'm going to guess that you're graduating in April. Now is a great time to apply. Again, the hiring process, the recruitment process is moving much faster than it did before. So we do tell people anywhere from 2 to 4 months start to finish for the whole process. So if you were to put in your application tomorrow, you will be able to graduate university or college before you apply. So if you were in your last year, we will see all your marks, and that's totally fine. We regularly go into the colleges and universities around this time when people are in their reading week or just before, just to kind of get them prepared to apply to the OPP, because it's a great time. Our next class that we have that we're currently hiring for, you would report for duty and start June 2nd at the Provincial Police Academy. So if you were to say apply tomorrow, it would be cutting it a little bit tight, but there is, depending on where you want to go in the province, potentially 4 months, 2 months, you might be able to make it through for that time frame. So now is a great time. If you're in your last year, your last semester, February is a great time to apply. Another question that we have is there a difference between your PR and citizenship when applying? So no, either or. You need your permanent residency or your citizenship when applying. Doesn't matter to us. One or the other is a minimum when applying. Another question we have is, does credit card debit affect my OPP application? So we are going to dive into your finances. That's something that we talk about. That's one of our areas of assessment. We want to know that you have a good grasp of your finances. We are going to look at your finances, and we're going to ask you about if you have what things you own. We are going to be looking at that. So we want to know that you do have a good grasp and that you are able to deal with your finances, and that you know how to do that, because as a police officer, sometimes we do get calls for service as well involving frauds. So if you're unaware of banking and loans and things like that, it can be a challenge. Obviously, we can learn these things, but it's good to have the knowledge ahead of time when you're coming in. So how many intakes are there per year? So currently we do have 4 intakes a year, so every 3 months. That's at this time. Things are always changing though. So our classes are around just over 100 people every 3 months that we're sending to the Ontario Police College. And that's how many people we're hiring for just specifically the OPP. So there's a question about volunteering, about what if you're working full time and have a family, when it comes to volunteering? Do you make exceptions based on circumstances? Absolutely. So, you know what? We want to know the big picture. We want to know who you are. We want to know your situation. We want to know if you have a family, if you've got young children, if you have the time to do some volunteering. But again, volunteering does not need to be a big thing. It could be something very small and simple, doing a good deed in your community. So it doesn't have to be 200 hours at the soup kitchen, or 5 hours a week at the homeless shelter. It doesn't have to be something that big. It could be an hour a month and you've been doing it for however long, or you're looking after a friend's child because they need to run to the grocery store, and they've dropped their child off so that they could do it without their children. So something small like that, that is volunteering. That is helping your community out and getting involved. We have somebody talking about having gaps in the resume due to the current job market, and asking if that will look bad. So the main thing when you apply to us is that you're honest, you disclose everything, you're not hiding anything. Integrity is key in the whole process. So everyone has their own path in life. There's different circumstances. People have families. Some people are single. Some people have a lot of time to spend on certain things like extra courses or volunteering. Due to COVID-19, a lot of people, they were unemployed because they worked in the food industry. So we take that into consideration. The main thing is that you've been working full time, or you've been a student. You can articulate what's going on. Again, I can't say for sure what's going to happen with a specific person's file, but we just want to know. We want you to be honest with us and tell us exactly what has gone on, and we really respect that. And everyone's case is going to be different. So somebody was asking how many calls we take. So you can check out our annual report at opp.ca to see how many calls for service we do take. It depends on where you're policing. Some areas have more calls for service, some areas don't. So it just depends on where you are. But the province as a whole, we do have an annual report that we put out. Somebody's asking, I kind of mentioned before, how many spots per class the OPP has. So again, give or take 100, maybe a little over 100, depending on the class. That's normally how many spots we do have in each class. And again, there's 4 classes a year, so that's over 400 officers we're hiring at this very time per year. Somebody was asking about where they upload the reference letters. Yeah, absolutely. So when you have reference letters, yep, you can upload them as supporting documentation. Make sure that they're on the portal. If you have any issues with uploading things onto your application, because it won't let you for whatever reason, opp.hire@opp.ca. Absolutely send us an email with those attachments and we will try to help you out. So somebody else is asking about applying from another province. Like I said before, if you're out of province, everything start to finish is done online. So you don't need to worry about traveling to Ontario for your interview or your psychological testing. Everything is done virtually online over the phone. So you don't need to stress out about that. It's very accessible for anyone, as well as our fitness testing. We ask you to send us a video of you doing the shuttle run. You can get somebody to film it for you, or you can film it yourself, and then you just send it by email to us. So you don't have to worry about actually attending a shuttle run event done by the OPP in Ontario. Okay. Somebody asking, they're 40 years old and they're asking if they are still required to run 2.4 kilometers in 12 minutes. So when you apply, we ask that you send us your fitness logs. In your fitness logs, we like to see what kind of strength training routine you have, what kind of activities you're doing, how many hours of sleep, any methods for dealing with stress. And we like to see your runs, how fast they're doing. And we also go over the PIN test. So we like to see that you are doing the Ontario PIN test once a week to see any improvements and to make sure that you'll be able to meet the minimum standard that the OPP has of 75% to achieve your Ontario fitness PIN. So this year, other side, this year is my fitness PIN. I got that from 2024. So every year you get an opportunity as a police officer to do the testing and receive one of these pins. When you apply and you go through the Provincial Police Academy, you will get an opportunity to do the PIN test. And that's why we get you to do it ahead of time, just to see where you're at and make sure that you are able to get that 75%. So again, it depends on your age, how fast you have to be able to run the 2.4 kilometer run. I can't off the top of my head let you know if it is 12 minutes. But if you look online, if you search the Ontario Police Fitness PIN test online, you can actually upload the document with all the scores on it. So you can see exactly for a 40-year-old male, how fast you have to be able to do that 2.4 kilometer run in. Again, minimum for when you apply to the OPP and across the board is level 7 in the shuttle run. So if you can't hit that 12 minutes and for the 2.4 kilometer run, that's fine. Keep working on it. But minimum for fitness is level 7 in the 20-meter shuttle run. When is the next class? I kind of spoke about that before. You would start at the Provincial Police Academy June 2nd, 2025. The next question is, do you have any tips for the shuttle run? My only tip is practice makes perfect. Keep on doing it. Yeah, a lot of people, they struggle in achieving that level 7, but it's like anything. You don't get good at something unless you practice it. So if you're not a runner, I know it can be a struggle. Get some headphones, get out there, start running, have your course mapped out, and keep trying, keep working hard. Also, if you find it's easier to do it with other people, I know myself, I'm enjoy working out and running with other people. Find a buddy to do it with, somebody that can kind of push you. As well as we do have events going on throughout the province. We are posting them at opp.ca/careers at the very end, the bottom of the website. There are events going on in Ontario. For some of them involve the shuttle run. So have a look, come out to these events, try it out. They're free opportunities to do them alongside a bunch of other people that are kind of in the same boat. So keep working hard. Somebody has mentioned they have a seasonal job and they're currently not working until the summer. Will that gap negatively affect my application process, even if I'm using the free time to volunteer? So you know what, it depends on the situation. If there's a reason why you're currently unemployed, sometimes people are in school throughout the year, and then so they don't work throughout the school year, then they come back from school and then they'll work throughout the summer. Totally fine. Just let us know your situation. Again, ideally, we like to see that you have a full-time job, that you have experience working full-time hours, and that you are able to do that, because as a police officer, a lot of our detachments, you're working 12-hour shifts. Some are the 4-4 schedule, some are the 5-4 schedule. So it all depends. So that's going to be my last question I'm going to answer for this afternoon. Again, thank you everyone for joining in today. I wish you all the best of luck in the hiring process if you are going through it right now, and have a great Wednesday.